I wanted to give Mike a chance to join the assembly today. He's, I believe, right there in front of the screen. Mike, we said some things about you today. I hope you heard the good part anyway. And the other part, perhaps you'll want to make a short rebuttal or have a few things to say. We've congratulated you on your election to the Hall of Fame, and we're mighty proud of you. Are you there? We see you. Hello, Mike. I guess not. Okay. Thanks so much. It's like a bad PowerPoint presentation.
That's the first time I've ever known Mike Krotinger to be silent. So, first question. The microphone is held by Lauren Sable, who's our Special Projects Coordinator, and Mr. Taft.
Could I ask that all three of our honorees, and I would count Mr. Brown, Art Brooks as the person who can respond for Mike, but if we could ask them to come up to the podium, that way they'll all be available to answer questions if we pose them. Jenny, would you be willing to do that? Art and Bob?
Why do I have a feeling we're being set up?
Yeah. I reserve the right to rule these questions out of order.
And no, I won't answer anything about the BP oil spill.
Well, I do have questions actually for all three, but I'll hold off and let others get in. But I'll try the first one for Bob Lustig. Bob, I noticed in your various specialties you had moved out of the field of divorce. Will you be moving back into it to deal with the first love comment?
After that.
Let me try and remedy the, yes, my first love outside of my family and my dear wife, not the other one, but my dear wife, is the City Club.
This is perhaps to Bob and to Jenny and to Art to the extent, but I'm struck by the comment you made, Bob, in Jerry's introduction about the City Club being a victim of its own success in terms of technology today and all that's offered, and how we grow our membership and keep this a relevant club and membership and place to convene and be in community with people, but how do we also maximize all that technology brings to bear on our business model? And Jenny, with your hat on many boards at IdeaStream in particular, might you have any reflections? Not to get too serious.
Well, you know, I'm not so sure that that necessarily is something that I would agree with. I think people do come down in person to hear City Club speakers. One is because of the dynamic of sitting here with folks over a lunch, having a chance to discuss, and then interacting with the speaker and the questioners one-on-one. I don't see any decline in City Club attendance. I come to many of these, and I think it's doing pretty well, frankly. I'm not so sure that we're seeing a flight because of the opportunity to watch on or listen on radio or watch on television the next day. I myself find the experience extremely invigorating, and we make an effort to come down, and many of my friends do the same. So, you know, I feel that's one aspect possibly, but I'm not so sure I'm entirely agreeing. Bob, Arthur? You want to defend?
Yeah, over my 71 years of membership, clearly the concept of the club has changed somewhat. The ideals have not. The concept has. And I wonder if one area for future growth and development might be the City Club as a place of convening. That is to say, where you bring together the best people that you can find on a given issue and present a solution to a community problem. One of the things that's so hard for me to put in place just in my 40 years in the club is the idea that the rhetoric in the public as a whole has deteriorated, and the tenor of the discussion has become very unpleasant and in many cases totally unfriendly. that is not the way solutions, especially community solutions, can be found. So I see this as a place of convening as well as a place of presenting ideas and questioning speakers.
It's hard to add anything to what's already been said. Certainly the present economic times are having something of an influence on participation in almost all nonprofit organizations. Hopefully that is a passing phenomena, and we will overcome that. The idea of being able to see people in person is one of the hallmarks of the forums. It cannot be duplicated by radio or TV or any other means, and we can only hope that that will prove the case.
If you could bring anyone to the City Club, what topic for discussion would be your first choice, or what speaker would you like to listen to at the City Club?
Well, just Lev Gonick. No, actually, Art made an interesting comment, and I would have to say something that I've been struggling with is, in fact, the lack of civility in the country today. It's an issue that we encounter, certainly on television in many of the talk shows. You know, the interruption of people as they're speaking, the shouting out at each other, the terrible experiences we've had in the last few years, even with the presenting of MTD awards and things like that. There is a lack of civility in the nation, and I'm not exactly sure what is occurring and how serious a change that is, because as you heard, I spoke about our values. And in the values I was raised with, you don't interrupt people, you are polite and respectful, and you listen to the rules in debates and in conferences. So perhaps that might be an area of interest. I can't think of at this moment a speaker necessarily, but I'm sure the topic is one that many people are concerned about.